So you're out there training hard, right? Lifting, running, playing sports, really pushing yourself.
Yeah, chasing those goals.
Exactly. And you're doing all the right things for recovery protein, stretching, maybe foam rolling, trying to get enough sleep.
Hitting the checklist.
But maybe you're hitting a bit of a wall, still feeling sore, not quite bouncing back like you want to.
That plateau feeling, it happens.
Well, we've been diving into some really interesting, maybe even slightly surprising material recently.
Definitely surprising for some, I think.
It suggests a link you probably haven't considered much. The connection between, well, your sexual health and how fast your muscles recover.
Yeah, sounds a bit out there at first, doesn't it?
It does. But that's what this deep dive is all about today, exploring this unexpected connection. Based on the sources we've looked at, it might actually, change how you approach recovery.
I think it could. We often see recovery as just physical rest and nutrition, but the body's way more interconnected.
Right.
And the sources suggest that something like sexual activity could genuinely impact those recovery processes, the repair, the rebuilding after you train.
Okay. Before we get fully into that, let's quickly recap the basics of muscle recovery, just so we're all on the same page.
Good idea.
So fundamentally, we're talking protein synthesis, right? Repairing those tiny muscle tears from workouts.
Yep, building back stronger.
Then there's reducing inflammation. That's the soreness, the stuff that makes you groan, getting out of bed.
Definitely want less of that.
And of course, refueling, getting those glycogen stores back up so you have energy for the next session.
Those are the big three, absolutely. But recovery isn't passive, is it?
No, not at all.
It's active. And it's influenced by loads of things. Nutrition, obviously, sleep, stress levels.
And based on our sources, maybe sexual activity too.
That's the really interesting angle the material brings up, how these different parts of our lives and bodies actually talk to each other.
Which brings us to the main question, the one that probably made people raise an eyebrow. Can sex actually help with muscle recovery? Seems kind of backwards, maybe.
It does feel a bit counterintuitive, and the answer from the sources isn't a simple yes, it's more of a, well, maybe, under certain circumstances.
The nuances.
Exactly. It comes down to hormones. During sexual activity, especially orgasm, your body releases a whole cocktail of stuff.
Like oxytocin, the cuddle hormone.
That's a key one. It promotes relaxation, feelings of well-being. Then you've got endorphins, natural painkillers. They could potentially take the edge off muscle soreness.
Okay.
And importantly, testosterone. We know testosterone is crucial for muscle repair and growth.
Right. And didn't one source mention that regular sexual activity in men might be linked to slightly higher testosterone levels?
Yeah.
Not huge, but maybe noticeable.
Yeah, the effect seems modest but consistent. So for men, regular activity might offer a small, long-term hormonal benefit for recovery. It's an interesting thought.
And what about for women? The sources mention something specific there too.
Yes, increased blood flow, particularly to the pelvic region during arousal.
Yeah.
Intercirculation generally is good for recovery, right?
Sure. Helps deliver nutrients, clear out waste products.
Exactly. So that improved blood flow could potentially help deliver nutrients to tired muscles faster and clear out things like lactic acid, maybe easing stiffness a bit.
And this seems like but the sources warned about going overboard, didn't they? Like, it's not a magic bullet.
Definitely not. Moderation is key. Very vigorous or marathon sessions, as one source put it, could actually leave you feeling more drained, which obviously isn't helpful for recovery.
Okay, finding that balance, it always comes back to balance.
Pretty much. And hormones are really central to this. One source called them the recovery secret sauce.
I like that. So we mentioned testosterone for repair. What about the other side? Cortisol?
Cortisol, the stress hormone. That's the one we want to manage because high levels can actually break down muscle tissue. It hinders recovery.
Right. Definitely counterproductive. So how does sex potentially fit in with managing cortisol?
Well, the idea presented is that sex, especially orgasm, might act as a sort of natural recovery aid.
A hack.
Kind of, yeah. The sources suggest a temporary drop in cortisol alongside that boost in oxytocin. This shift creates more relaxed physiological state.
So less stress hormone, more relaxation hormone. Better environment for healing.
That's the theory. It's like signaling your body to switch from breakdown mode to build-up mode.
Interesting. And it's not just the immediate hormonal effect, is it? There was that link to sleep as well.
Yes, super important, that drowsy feeling many people get afterwards.
Yeah.
That's often linked to prolactin release, another hormone. And if that helps you fall asleep faster or sleep deeper, well, we know how crucial sleep is.
Absolutely critical. Deep sleep is when growth hormone release peaks, right? For muscle repair, fat burning, all that good stuff.
Precisely. So if sex improves your sleep quality, even indirectly, that's a potentially significant bonus for your overall recovery.
A double whammy
Yeah,
almost. Hormonal shift plus better sleep
potentially. Yeah. And it all ties back into stress reduction, too. High stress equals high cortisol.
equals lower recovery. We got it.
Right. And the sources suggest intimacy partnered or solo can be a really effective stress reliever. Again, thanks largely to oxytocin.
That feeling of calm connection.
Exactly. It helps lower the stress response. Interestingly, one source even mentioned that just cuddling for, say, 10 minutes after sex can extend those relaxation benefits.
So it's not purely physical. The emotional connection matters too.
It seems to play a role, definitely, promoting that sense of calm.
Okay, this is all fascinating theory, but let's get practical. Timing. When should you or shouldn't you fit this in around workouts?
Good question. The sources offered some thoughts here. Post-workout, it could actually be beneficial for winding down.
Helping you relax after the intensity.
Potentially, yes. Those feel-good hormones might counteract some of the workout stress, help kickstart the recovery process mentally and physically.
Okay, what about before a workout? That's where the old myths live. Don't do it before the big game.
Right, the energy drain myth. The sources push back on that pretty hard.
They mentioned a study, didn't they?
Yeah, a 2013 study found basically no difference in strength or endurance for athletes who had sex about 12 hours before exercise versus those who didn't.
12 hours. So maybe not right before you walk onto the field, but the night before is likely fine.
That seems to be the consensus from the research cited. Moderate activity hours before probably won't hurt performance.
But probably avoid anything too strenuous right before hitting the gym.
Exactly. Listen to your body. If it leaves you feeling tired, maybe not the best pre-workout choice. If it leaves you feeling energized, great, but use common sense.
So that really tackles that myth head on, the idea that sex just drains your energy reserves, especially for athletes.
Yeah, it's a persistent one, but the evidence reviewed suggests it's largely unfounded for moderate activity. Your fitness goals likely won't be sabotaged.
Good to know. Now, the sources also made a point about individual differences, particularly gender.
Super important. A lot of the older research focused heavily on cisgender men.
Right.
But the material did highlight potential points for women that increased pelvic blood flow during arousal we mentioned, potentially helping circulation and easing stiffness.
And for men, it clarified the prolactin thing.
Yes, that temporary prolactin spike post-ejaculation causes drowsiness, but it doesn't mean a lasting testosterone dip, which is a common misconception.
Okay. And what about transgender and non-binary athletes?
The sources rightly pointed out that hormone therapies can influence recovery, so consulting with a doctor is really important there to understand individual factors.
Makes sense. Personalized advice is key.
Always, especially when hormones are involved.
So bringing this all together, how can people actually use this information? Any practical strategies from the sources?
Yeah, a few good ones. Communication is big, especially with a partner. Talk about energy levels, especially during tough training blocks.
Manage expectations, basically.
Exactly. Also, hydration. Seems basic, but sex is physical activity. Replenish fluids.
Good point. Often overlooked.
And prioritizing sleep. If late night activity messes with your sleep, maybe try different times. Morning, earlier evening. Find what works without sacrificing rest.
I remember one source shared a personal example, like scheduling quality time, post-workout sometimes, maybe more adventurous stuff on rest days.
Yeah, and prioritizing sleep over sex if utterly exhausted from training.
It really highlights that it's about finding your personal rhythm, your own sweet spot.
Totally. There's no magic formula. It's about self-awareness, experimentation, listening to your body. What works for one person might not work for another.
Okay, let's run through some of those FAQs the sources tackled. I bet listeners have these questions too. First up, does sex actually help post-workout recovery?
Indirectly is the answer. Through stress reduction, maybe better sleep, but moderation is crucial.
Will sex before a workout hurt performance?
Generally, no. According to the research cited, if it's not too close to the workout and not overly exhausting, listen to your body.
Why is testosterone so important for recovery?
Key hormone for muscle repair and growth. Regular sex might slightly boost baseline levels in men. Arousal improves blood flow, potentially helping women.
Does masturbation count? Same benefits?
Yes. The sources indicated the hormonal benefits, cortisol reduction, endorphins can still happen solo. Relaxation is often the goal.
Can sex replace sleep? I think we know this one.
Definitely not. It might help you get to sleep, but it's no substitute for deep restorative sleep itself. Think bonus, not replacement.
Do these tips apply to women too?
Yes, absolutely. Though research specifically on women and testosterone in this context is less expensive, the blood flow and stress reduction benefits are relevant.
Does sex really drain men's energy?
The myth.
Again, largely a myth per the sources. Temporary prolactin makes you sleepy, but no evidence of long-term testosterone drain impacting performance.
How to balance intense training and a healthy sex life.
Communication, hydration, timing it strategically around workouts and rest days, finding that personal balance.
Considerations for transgender athletes. Yes, consult a doctor about how hormone therapies might interact with training and recovery.
How much is too much sex during heavy training?
Listen to your body. If it negatively impacts energy, sleep, or training, you might need to scale back. It's individual.
And what if you're just not in the mood during intense training?
Totally normal. High fatigue and stress can lower libido. Don't force it. Honor your body's needs, including rest.
Wow. Okay, so putting it all together, sexual health really seems like, well, another piece of the whole recovery puzzle.
Exactly. Alongside the nutrition, the sleep, the stretching, the smart training, it's another potential factor in your overall well-being and how effectively you bounce back.
It's about looking at the whole picture, isn't it? A more holistic view.
Precisely. Recognizing how different parts of your life influence each other, sometimes in unexpected ways.
So hopefully this deep dive gives everyone listening some new perspectives, maybe empowers you to think about this differently.
Yeah, not as another chore or pressure, but just another potential tool, another aspect of well-being that might support your goals.
It's an invitation, really, to be mindful, maybe experiment a bit, and just pay attention to how your own body responds.
Couldn't agree more. Listen to your body.
So, the final thought for you, the listener. As you think about optimizing everything you do for recovery, just consider, is this an area you've completely overlooked? Could making small, mindful adjustments here, maybe even just having a conversation, potentially unlock a little bit more recovering potential, something to think about on your fitness journey?